Okay, great.
This meeting is being recorded.
Ooh. The recording just shouted at me. Okay, so if you want to go ahead and pull my slides up, that would be great. And I could just get started. So good morning, and thank you for welcoming me here today. My name is Siena Lopez-Johnston, and I am the Culture Outreach Specialist at Bonneville Power Administration, also known as BPA. I'm happy to be here today and share with you about AISES internships with BPA. Next slide. So, Dalaha shi Siena, shi Talawa Dini Nushli. I said, hello, my name is Siena. I am Talawa Dini. So first, I just wanted to share a little bit about myself. I'm an enrolled member of the Talawa Dini Nation, a small tribe with its original homelands on the border of Southwest Oregon and Northwest California. First and foremost, I am a proud mother, wife, sister, and daughter. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, where I now reside, and graduated with a Bachelor of Science from University of Oregon, go Ducks, and a Master of Science from Portland State University. You can advance to the next slide. So I wanted to share with you today a bit about my journey as an AISES intern myself. So in 2011, I was recruited by the BPA Student Program Coordinator to apply on the BPA AISES Fish and Wildlife Internship. I had been an AISES member since my undergraduate days at University of Oregon, where I was an environmental science major. And I was lucky enough to get that internship, which was a 2-month internship focused in fisheries. Well, it was 10 weeks actually. I spent 2 weeks at the Cle Elum Hatchery in Central Washington, which is run by the Yakama Nation, learning the ins and outs of hatchery operations and maintenance, working with a number of state and federal agencies and other natural resource departments within the tribe, on a number of different field opportunities and different types of projects, just getting my hands dirty. I learned everything from, how to operate a riding lawnmower and handling power tools, which I liked to call my handyman skills, to the process of raising fish in a hatchery from start to finish in a hatchery environment, and all while developing new skills in team building, professional networking, and personal growth. In my time at the hatchery, I got to work with so many different partners, from AISES to BPA Fish and Wildlife, Tribal Affairs at BPA, the Cle Elum Hatchery staff, different Yakama Nations, Natural Resources Department staff, Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Central Washington University. So just a ton of different exposure and networking opportunities. Excuse me. To say that this internship was life-changing for me is an understatement. When I started my internship, I had little to no fisheries experience. As I said, I was an environmental science major, which was pretty general. And when I came out, I was well equipped with the experience to guide me in the next steps of not only my educational, but my professional career. Next slide. Thanks. So the unforgettable experience of my internship actually ended up shifting my career path focus into fisheries. And at the conclusion of the internship, I was actually recruited further by BPA into their Federal Pathways internship program. I accepted this internship, of course, and during my Pathways internship, I worked in the BPA Fish and Wildlife program while pursuing my Master of Science in Environmental Science and Management at Portland State University. Rewind to my AISES internship, I had visited the Prosser Hatchery, which is also run by the Yakama Nation, and I learned briefly about this species that you're seeing some pictures of here called Pacific lamprey. I quickly learned that this was an important species to the tribes in the Pacific Northwest, as well as my own tribe on the Smith River. So naturally, my interest grew. When I told my thesis advisors that I was interested in doing work with Pacific lamprey, they jumped at the opportunity to guide me in that direction. So I spent 2 summers at Bonneville Dam, working on the Columbia River, working on my thesis project, looking at lamprey passage at a passage structure there. Lamprey need a special type of passage system, much different from salmon ladders that you generally see at dams. So it was a really unique and very kind of hot topic opportunity that came out of something I discovered during my internship that I didn't know before. And upon completion of my master's thesis and program, I was converted to full-time employment at BPA, where I continued working with Pacific lamprey for the 10 years that I worked as a project manager in BPA's Fish and Wildlife program. Next slide. So since the completion of my AISES internship almost 12 years ago now, which is pretty crazy, I have been incredibly fortunate to stay involved and come full circle, and was afforded the ability to work on the implementation side of the internship that had shaped my career up to this point. I was able to be a part of doing outreach and providing mentorship and coordination. These are all passions that I didn't even know that I had until being given this opportunity to stay involved as somewhat of a mentor to our students. So you can see some of the pictures here on this screen are me with my mentor hat on for these students in the fisheries program. And this path now led me to my most recent position at BPA as an outreach specialist in our Chief Culture Office. I would say for me, pillars of success in my federal career now really started with that BPA student program coordinator who recruited me. She sparked my interest in fisheries, and she instilled in me a confidence that I didn't know I had, something that I hope to carry on and pay forward in my current position for students just like you. Additionally, overcoming obstacles in the first 10 years of my career as a Native woman in STEM in the federal government was made easier by becoming a member of our American Indian Alaska Native Employee Resource Group here at BPA. And the group has provided me with a sense of community, belonging, purpose, and support both inside and outside of work. So that picture on the bottom right of the little one, that's my little girl Tanaya when she was, oh gosh, maybe 5 or 6 months old. And this was during a Native American Heritage Month event. And so that's some of the members of our employee resource group grouped around her. So just kind of that sense of community, that sense of family at work has really helped me to continue on in the work that I do. Next slide, thank you. So as you can see, an internship really can be so much more than just an internship. It's an incredible way to get your foot in the door and get real life experience that can pave the way for your future. Internships are a resume builder in which students are exposed to and learn a diversity of skill sets and get field and hands-on experience. Partnerships that are in place in internships offer up unique professional and academic networking opportunities. They provide a myriad of mentors, many of whom can provide mentoring and support both during and following internships. So making that professional connection with a mentor might be something that you carry on for, the entirety of both your educational and professional career. They allow for career exploration. If you have little experience in a certain area or aren't quite sure what your interests are yet, internships are the perfect way to get that experience and explore to see if that's something that you're interested in and want to pursue further. I had never done fisheries, like I said, and I ended up in a fisheries position for 10 years after that. So all of these pieces, of course, lend to a ton of personal growth, just kind of learning who you are, how you can use your new skill sets, and those relationships that you make help you to grow. Next slide, please. So you may be wondering, what is BPA? BPA is a federal self-funded component of the Department of Energy. We're a wholesale power marketing agency employing over 3,000 employees across the Pacific Northwest and Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. We market power to utilities from 31 hydroelectric dams on the Columbia River, as well as one non-federal nuclear plant and several non-federal power plants. Our regional transmission system includes 15,000 circuit miles of transmission lines, 261 substations, and 546 transmission customers. BPA markets nearly 1/3 of the electricity generated in the Pacific Northwest and operates 3/4 of the region's high voltage transmission grid. Our 4 key business lines are power services, transmission services, energy efficiency, and environment, fish, and wildlife. BPA is an engine of the Pacific Northwest economic prosperity by providing reliable, clean, low-cost electricity to millions while investing millions in environmental sustainability. We strive to cultivate a culture of inclusion that provides a safe, positive, and inclusive work environment where people feel valued, accountable, and enabled to deliver results. We value safety, environmental stewardship, collaboration, and innovation. BPA has a ton of different jobs that we offer. Some of these include civil and mechanical engineers, physical scientists, weather and forecasting, fish biologists, archaeologists, energy efficiency specialists, transmission planners and schedulers, information technology and cybersecurity, and power schedulers. Next slide. So that brings me to our BPA AISES internship program. Excuse me. BPA has a long history of partnership with AISES for our summer internship program, dating back as far as 15 years for our fish and wildlife and transmission internships. These summer internships allow college students to gain meaningful paid field experience in addition to learning about Bonneville Power Administration. Native students face many barriers to education and in pursuing specialized degrees and careers, and our internship program seeks to begin to help break those barriers. Current internships that we offer through BPA are the Fish and Wildlife internship, which is mostly fisheries focused, and that program will be hosting one intern this year with the Yakima Nation based out of the Cle Elum Hatchery in Central Washington. That's the internship that I did. The Fish and Wildlife internship is centered around performing fish culturist duties, assisting fish technicians, learning basic hatchery operations and maintenance, and understanding how hatcheries and supplementation contribute to basin-wide fish management goals. Our Cultural Resources internship, which is mostly archaeology focused, is a new internship as of last year, and we're super excited about that. And we'll actually be hosting 2 interns for that internship this year based out of Portland, Oregon. This internship provides the opportunity to learn about how historic preservation and compliance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act is undertaken at BPA. Interns will have the opportunity to shadow federal archaeologists in the office and in the field and meet archaeologists in our region, as well as conduct field work and visit ongoing archaeological field projects. Interns do not need prior experience, just an interest in historic preservation and a curiosity to learn. And finally, transmission is, our transmission internship is engineering focused, including electrical, civil, and mechanical, and we'll be hosting one intern this year based out of Vancouver, Washington. Depending on the specific placement of the transmission student intern, they may be involved with learning about communication equipment, substation equipment, line design, and other electrical engineering or civil or mechanical related systems. Activities may include developing schematic and wiring drawings, testing electronic equipment such as relays, telecom gear, breakers, transformers, and other supporting ancillary equipment, gathering data for equipment performance reports, field visits to substations, radio sites, and generation plants. The AISES program has been a successful and important tool to recruiting American Indian Alaskan Native employees to Bonneville. Many current BFTE employees participated in the AISES internship and were eventually hired through opportunities in our Pathways program. We are recognized to be a leader supporting tribal STEM employees and have several times, including this year, been named to AISES' top 50 places to work for natives in STEM. Next slide. So if you're interested in applying, applications are still open now through February 28th, and you can apply through the AISES website, or you can use your phone right now to grab this QR code that'll lead you to our internships. And also, I just wanted to kind of close out by highlighting a few of our past interns, and I'll just leave it on this slide. You can just leave it on this slide, so if people are interested, they can use that QR code, but I will just kind of share a couple of stories here. Excuse me. Our student intern from 2016 in the fisheries program graduated in 2019 from Heritage University and took part in the Doris Duke Conservation Program, a 2-year summer internship program focused on conservation practice. She also completed an NSF research experience program as well as an international research experience program. She was accepted to the Heritage McNair Scholars Program, preparing undergrads for grad school, and is in her graduate program now. This is a student who, when I met her, wasn't sure if she wanted to go to grad school or not, and had very little field experience, and actually hadn't been away from home without her family apart from a few times. So her and I had a lot of conversations about what that looks like, and she, sparked an interest in grad school. She asked me to review. I think I maybe provided a letter of recommendation for her, actually, but to review some of her materials for grad school. So just really happy to be a part of that with students. And let's see here. Our student from 2014 spent time as a fisheries biologist for the Nez Perce, following his internship for the Nez Perce tribe, where he utilized many of the skills he learned in his internship. He told me he's the best pit tagger there ever was. He takes pride in presenting about their program to local youth, and also served as the vice chairman of the Nez Perce Fish and Wildlife Commission, where he had the opportunity to educate tribal council and help shape policies with recommendations from issues dealt with and lessons learned by his team. He obtained his graduate degree in the recent years. And I think those are all that I will highlight here today. I could go on and on about our past interns. I enjoy touching base with them to see what they've accomplished and how our internships continue to feed their education and career paths. In fact, I'm meeting with one of last year's interns tomorrow to chat about her most current internship with the Lower Columbia Estuary Partnership and what will come next for her as she finishes up her undergraduate degree at PSU. Next slide. So I continue always to seek ways to share, learn, and bridge gaps in the work that I do, because I believe that keeping culture alive is important, and respecting and recognizing where we came from informs where we're going. Advancing natives in STEM gives us a voice in policy decisions that directly impact our lives and allows us to incorporate traditional knowledge into science while improving understanding and communication between tribes and agencies and organizations. And that could all start with an internship. So thank you, AISES, for the opportunity to share with you all today and for your interest and for being here. If you want to learn more about BPA careers in general, you can use the QR code there labeled BPA careers. And if you want to apply for one of the internships, you can use the QR code on the right. You can also reach out to me for questions. And with that, I will say, Shukcha Ninla, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sienna. That was great. And yes, I think we had one more thing we actually wanted to share. Monique, do you have your LinkedIn up to show that video by chance?
Yes, just give me 1 second, I bring that up.
Perfect. Our communications team and Monique took some of the footage from BPA's Fish and Wildlife internship last year just to kind of show some snippets of what life was like during their 10 weeks. And it's done really well. And it just kind of gives you a really quick snapshot of some of the stuff you could experience and just how exciting it can be. Even I watched it and I was like, am I into Fish and Wildlife? Should I look at doing something like this? Because it just looks so cool and it's so hands-on. And just a really great way to spend your summer. So I will let Monique play that. And there's no like real sound. It's just kind of like music over it. That's it. And that is also on some of our social media. So if you go on AISES, you'll see that there. It's on Facebook and Instagram. And it just really is a fun way to kind of see just really quickly if you do apply for the Fish and Wildlife portion, like what you could experience. So
I also just wanted to add in that photo there, that last one, the archaeology student actually and their mentor traveled up to the fish hatchery with me this summer to go to the fish hatchery open house. And it was really cool to have the interns meet each other. We didn't have a transmission intern last summer. But one thing that myself and other members of our American Indian Alaska Native Resource Group try to do is welcome the students, provide that sense of community for them, do what we can to let them know things going on in and around where they're going to be stationed, as well as try and get lunch with them, work with them on their presentations at the end. So we really try to provide a sense of community and comfort for those who are going to be away from home. And we try to connect the interns as much as we possibly can. So hopefully we'll be able to do that this year. Hopefully we'll get all 4 interns together, and that kind of just depends on how schedules line up, but we like to try to do that.
That's so cool. Well, great. Can people post in the chat, Monique? Is that okay? Great. Okay. So if anyone has any questions for Sienna and they would pop that in the chat, we're happy to take questions now and to kind of talk more about the internship. And it can be about general internships too. If there's other AISES internships that you want to ask questions about, Monique and I are here to answer those questions. And then Sienna can talk more about the BPA's internships. Would you say that participants as an AISES intern has a great chance of possibly moving on with a job at BPA?
So, you know, it's a foot in the door. You get exposure to different hiring managers, and then usually the path in would be through the federal pathways internships, and those become available at different times of the year. I usually try to work with students to show them the ropes on USA Jobs so that they know how to search for those internships. There's actually a webinar coming up on the 13th that I think I shared with you, Taylor, on the federal internship process. So that would be the real foot in the door to a federal career, is through those federal pathways internships. But like I said, we do have a number of BPA employees who were AISES interns and then came in through those pathways internships. So it is a really good way to get your foot in the door.
Great question. Any other questions? I can kind of also talk a little bit while maybe someone's gonna type a question, or maybe they have this question of kind of like the structure around AISES internships. So they are 10 weeks long. You go through a pretty normal interview process like you would for a job with the internship that you apply for. So if you apply for BPA, there's a chance to meet with Siena, go through like an job interview essentially. And then if you're offered the internship, you become essentially like an AISES employee. You get paid bi-weekly, a salary for the 10 weeks. And you also get a round trip flight to and from, or a driving stipend to and from the internship. You get lodging the entire time you're at your internship, paid for by AISES. The Fish and Wildlife actually house their intern at the fish hatchery. But I think that sometimes it varies each summer, but some summers you get to go into Portland and stay at a hotel. But all of that is supplied by AISES and supplied by BPA. And you get local travel stipends. And so if you took the bus or rented a bicycle or a car, anything like that, we give you money each week to facilitate those local travel. The only thing that you're really in charge of is your food is a really big one. So that's something to keep in mind, is to have a budget for your food. And also just different things like that, like toiletries and stuff like that are obviously your responsibility, but we do pay your salary, local travel, your flight or driving stipend, and your lodging. So it's a really great opportunity to be paid. It's 10 weeks in the summer, and a lot of schools offer class credits for internships. That's something that if you're interested, I definitely recommend you look at your school program and see if that's something you can just like knock out this summer in 10 weeks. And you get to be in around a beautiful river and meet really great people, or maybe you want to apply for another one. But it's definitely something that we always hear really great feedback from our students, that they just enjoy their summer. They made so many nice contacts. And then a lot of those students also end up going to things like AISES National Conference or applying for an academic scholarship as well. And so it's a really great way to get really involved with AISES and to meet people outside of AISES as well that can help you in your journey along your career path. So that's I'm so sorry for the background noise. Anyone else have any questions? Well, that's no problem. This is recorded, and we will be sending this out to, oh, Ed has another question. These 3 internship opportunities are nice. Are there certain majors or requirements that you're looking for in order for me to qualify for the summer program?
I would say yes and no. I think for the fisheries internship and the archaeology, cultural resources internship, it can be a little more of a general science study, or even, just general interest. I think the transmission internships are a little more are much more technical and engineering focused. So I know they do look for those as majors or interested areas of focus for students. Depending on how many applications each internship gets and the quality of those applications, and then how the interview goes, there are different things that weigh in. So you may not have necessarily be like a fish biology major, but you have an interest and you're trying to explore this, and you have a amazing interview, and you may get the internship over someone who has fisheries experience. but doesn't potentially interview as well. So, I think taking into account all of those things that matter when you're applying for not only an internship but a job. So also, suggest to make sure that no matter what your major is, whatever you're applying for, whatever internship it is, make sure your application is complete. Make sure you have checked everything off. I feel like one thing that we sometimes see is applications maybe without the letters of support. So make sure that you have handled everything that needs to go into that application. Make sure that you're utilizing anything that AISES offers, like, interview. I think there have in the past have been like some tips on interviewing. So, really using this opportunity as a practice and a tool for getting all of that together and, applying it to a real life situation. Hopefully that answered.
Yeah, that's great. And I think Sienna mentioned this, but just to reiterate that there is an essay portion of the application, and the essay portion is extremely, extremely beneficial to really give a part of yourself that you can't see on your resume, that you can't really see in your academic career, but really speak to like, what do you want to do with your life? How you want to get back to your tribal community? Like what your values are, because that's really going to show them the person that you are outside of just being able to show that you worked as a TA for, your year in school. Like it's a really great way to introduce yourself in a way that you feel is authentic and genuine to you, that you would want someone that might want to employ you, especially in like certain fields. So really take advantage of the essay question, really think about it, write it down on a Word doc, review it, have someone else review it. And Sienna also mentioned the letter of reference. It's really crucial that you get a letter of reference that can be an academic or professional. It's up to you. We only require one per for the internship, but definitely make sure that it's someone that you think can speak to you academically or professionally in a way that you would want people to know. So, yes, that's really important. Great question. Anyone else?
I'll also just say really quick that, we do this internship annually at this point, and sometimes one internship will have maybe 2 interns, and maybe it'll flip-flop the next year, and one will have 2, the other will have 1. But I would just encourage students who are early on in their educational career, if you apply and maybe don't get the internship, to come back and apply again next year, continue improving on your application and, displaying your, updated skills the next year, and come back and keep applying, because we do have these internships annually.
Yes.
And each one is, a little bit different and based out of a different location. And so there's a lot to offer, and it could apply to a lot of different types of interests. So spread the word too. If you're on here and you know someone who is interested in these areas of study, go ahead and let them know that these are available.
Yep. That sounds great. Okay, anyone else have any questions? And again, we're going to be sending this out. And so if you think of a question later, you know where to find Monique and I. And if it's a question that's specific to Sienna, we're happy to connect you as well with her. Okay, well, I will let Monique take it over for the giveaway.
Yes, thanks, Taylor. So just give me 1 second. I got everybody's name and our selection for today's lucky winner of a $25 gift card. Give me 1 second. So we have Priscilla Rodriguez. You are our lucky winner for today for the gift card. If you don't mind, Priscilla, I put in the chat my email address. If you don't mind just shooting me an email real quick with your name and the best mailing address, we'll get that gift card right over to you. So just before you log off or by the end of the day, please, if you don't mind just giving that information to me.
All righty. Well, we're gonna conclude our webinar today. Again, we'll send out the recording. If you have questions, always reach out. The deadline is February 28th for your application. We do give an extra week for your references to submit their letter of reference, but get that in as soon as possible. Some of our internships are interviewing students as soon as they finish their application. So if you want you to have a little like leg up in that, definitely apply as soon as possible. And if you are interested in an internship, but you don't get Henry Rodriguez. Okay, great. Well, you can still win, Henry. That's totally fine. And if you are interested in an internship, you get on AISES and you're not matched with it, always reach out to me and Monique. We can manually match you with that internship and kind of talk you through if we think you're a good fit or not. Or maybe there's another internship that you would be better qualified for. But if you're interested, even if you don't get matched on AISES, let us know. We definitely want to give you the opportunity to apply or at least to learn more about it. So that concludes our internship. Thank you, or our webinar. Thank you so much again to Siena. We're so grateful that she took time out of her day to join us. And we really hope that you all, or that some of you get to meet Siena in person as an intern this summer, or maybe next summer. But everyone have a great rest of your day. Have a great spring semester. And we hope everyone applies on AISES. And scholarships they close May 31st as well. So a lot of stuff to do on AISES. Get on there, work on some stuff, and always reach out to us if you have questions. All right.